All right. We are recording. Anything you say can and will be held against you.
Unless we edit it.
Oh boy, this is not the first time that's been said to me, or I read it. I'm praying it's the last.
This is the AT Banter podcast, a balanced and entertaining look at assistive technology, accessibility, and its importance in people's lives. Join Rob Minot, Ryan Fleury, and Steve Barclay as they banter with people around the world about anything and everything regarding assistive technology and the disability community. Now, on with the show.
Howdy, y'all, and welcome to this week's country version of AT Banter.
Y'all, banter.
That's right. And we got the cowbell.
That's a double whack on the cowbell for the country theme.
Awesome possum.
Why are we doing a country?
Do we different to piss Rob off?
Okay.
It's a train wreck when he's not here.
I appreciate the purpose.
Excellent.
So yeah, based on that, I think people can probably guess that Rob's not with us today.
No, he's not. He is not well, and I think it's because of all the Chef Boyardee he eats.
I don't know. I think that stuff is actively preserving him beyond his years. I think that if you look at him now, he is at least 1 part monosodium glutamate. And he will probably outlive us all.
Yeah, probably.
If he survives this latest bout of the flu.
Well, have you heard, like, some of the incidences of the flu in the U.S.? There was one girl, I think she was like 12 or 13 or something, or maybe she was a little bit older, but she got the flu and it went to her brain and left her blind.
Yeah, I saw the article about that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's harsh.
Crazy. I think, though, they had also said that she wasn't vaccinated. So there's a whole, argument we won't get into there. But
yeah, I don't know. Flu vaccines are the one vaccination that I have my doubts about, and part of it is because they take a shotgun approach to it.
They
right?
do. They try to predict.
They try and figure out what flu is going to come through, and they try and vaccinate you for that. And if you get vaccinated and that particular flu comes in, you're good. Mm-hmm. If it's a different type of flu, you might not be as good.
Right.
So, I've had flu vaccinations in the past because, my son's diabetic, and when he gets the flu, it's messy as hell. But I haven't had a flu vaccine now in probably 3 years, and I don't think I've had a flu in that time either.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I get mine every year. Just preventative.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be sick.
Yeah, nobody does, right?
The flu is just horrible.
Yeah, it's nasty when you get it.
Yeah.
But, have you heard about the one that's breaking out in China right now?
Briefly, yeah.
There's last count, I think there were about 300 reported cases of it and 6 deaths.
Wow.
In this one city in China. They say it's a coronavirus, which is a type of virus that's similar to the SARS virus that went through years ago, and they're saying it has the potential for a global epidemic.
Yeah, I think I heard that our local Vancouver International Airport is actually on watch for signs of that as well, of people coming in.
Yeah, because we get a lot of traffic from Asia. So
yeah, scary.
Yeah, let's hope that one doesn't come through and wreck us all.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, there's our happy news for the week.
Yeah, that's chipper. Yeah, let's lead with that.
All right.
We're all dying.
So what are we doing today, Steve?
Well, today I believe we are talking to a couple of guys known as Two Blind Brothers.
We are. We are happy to have with us Brad and Bryan Manning from twoblindbrothers.com, who say they have the softest clothing in the world.
I don't know, bold statement.
It is a bold statement.
Yeah, they better back that up.
Well, I think we're going to have to order a couple.
I think so.
Yep. Get our hands on them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to talking to these guys. It's really interesting when we get disabled entrepreneurs. I hate that word disabled, but whether you're visually impaired, blind, have some other disability, people taking the bull by the horns, starting a business and succeeding at it. I think it's going to be great.
Well, and the great thing about the company is that they're giving back to the community as well.
Yeah, 100% of the profits, right? The proceeds.
Yeah. Going straight back into retinal research.
Yeah.
Which is fabulous.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
We got any news? No?
Well, we talked a little bit about the flu.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, but news outside of that? I guess the really exciting thing that's happening while we're recording is we are going into a 24/7 news cycle about impeachment trials. That'll be all over the news constantly. We won't be able to escape it. We will have to suffer through this non-stop bombardment of information and misinformation being thrown at us by senatorial and congressional people down in the excited states.
I don't follow it at all.
No?
I've never had an interest in politics.
No? Oh, well.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I don't see it. You know, I might see people tweeting about something or a little something on social media, and I just kind of blow past it.
I'm a total news junkie.
Oh, I know.
I can't stop, you know. And being a Canadian, this is popcorn watching, right? This is watching the American government either implode or explode. I'm not sure which, but it's nasty, it's partisan, it's divisive, it's splitting the country right down the middle.
But you know what's going to be really, really interesting?
What's that?
Is if he wins a second term.
Well, you know, I've said this multiple times, and people probably will disagree with me strongly on this, but I think he will. I think
know.
that even if, well, he's been impeached by Congress, but you know, regardless of the outcome of this trial, I think he's going to win a second term.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I don't follow it all that closely, except, you know, like you say, the country being split. And I just, you know, you hear people talking about the cuts to healthcare, prescription drugs, you know, a lot of different things. Yet, you know, they say he's done wonders for the economy. So I don't know. It's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, there's, you know, there's two schools of thought on that whole economy thing, right? On one hand, the U.S. economy is going gangbusters right now, but at the same time as it's going gangbusters, they've got this massive, $1 trillion deficit. And this is, in theory, if your economy is going great guns, this is when you pay down your deficit.
Yeah.
It's not when you increase it. That's madness, absolute madness, to be increasing your deficit while you've got a booming economy. Because you know, if you can't pay it down now, when are you ever going to?
Yeah.
You know, you're certainly not going to do it when times are tough. So, you know, I don't know. It strikes me as insanity, but you know what? The Canadian economy is going great, and we're running a deficit too. So, you know, we're no better up here. You know, it'd be nice to be able to point at Trump and say, He's the idiot, but guess what? We got our own idiots this side of the border too.
Absolutely, yeah. We were supposed to get ride sharing in 2017. We still don't have it.
Well, that's a provincial issue. But
it is, but that's just one of the idiots. Anyway, that's Politic Talk.
Politic Talk with Stephen Ryan.
That's right. Hey everyone, Ryan from Canadian Assistive Technologies here to tell you about a product called Way Around. Way Around consists of a free iOS or Android app, or the optional WayLink scanner that connects to your phone via Bluetooth to identify and label items around your home or office. Using the Way tags that come in the form of stickers, buttons, magnets, and clips, you can label just about anything you can think of, such as clothing items, products in your fridge or freezer, plants in your garden, recipes, and so much more. I've used the Way tags to label my Blu-ray movies and my vinyl LP collection. If you'd like to find out more information about the Way Around product, please visit us online at www.canasstech.com. That's CANASSTECH.com, or call us toll free at 1-844-795-8324. Thanks for listening. So, joining us today are Brad and Bryan Manning from twoblindbrothers.com. Hey guys, welcome to the show.
Hey, happy to be here. Thanks for having us.
Excellent.
Thanks for having both of us.
Hey, I'm glad you both could join us. Does that mean we get a free t-shirt?
It might. It depends on how nice Brad's feeling today. If you're up to me, 100%.
Excellent. So why don't we just start kind of at the beginning and give us a little snapshot on who each of you are and your vision condition.
Yeah, so I'm Bryan Manning. Brad is 5 years older than I am, but at the age of right about 6 or 7, we were both diagnosed with a retinal eye disease called Stargardt's. And what Stargardt's is it's a juvenile form of macular degeneration, which a lot of people's grandparents have. It's one of the more commonly known retinal eye diseases. But what happens is you have trouble metabolizing vitamin A, and it creates this toxic byproduct in the center of your vision that kind of kills the cells in the middle of your eye. So, recognizing people, reading small print, basically detail work becomes really, really challenging. But because we keep a lot of peripheral vision, mobility doesn't end up being affected too terribly.
That's probably the best description of Stargardt's that I've heard yet. You've done this a lot, I bet.
I've done this once or twice.
So, sorry. Normally we'd have our other co-host with us, Rob, and Rob is the guy who asks all the questions. Unfortunately, Rob is imitating a sea cucumber evading predators today and eliminating his stomach as much as possible. So he wasn't able to join us today. So you're gonna have to suffer through while Ryan and I
stumble through ourselves.
Stumble through questions.
That's right.
So,
well, to be honest, I have to work with Brad every day. We stumble through most of it. It's been a challenging 4 years.
Alrighty. So, tell us about how and why you got started with this company.
Sure. So this is Brad speaking. So essentially, Bryan and I were both working in New York City. I had been here a few years. Bryan had recently moved. I was working for a small investment company, and Bryan was doing sales for a data company. And one day we're shopping. And if you're blind or visually impaired, you may know this, but shopping can be a big pain. First of all, Bryan and I lose each other in the store, and second of all, it's hard to kind of figure out the prices, the sizes, the labels on a piece of clothing. And so our method is we kind of just run around the racks, feel the shirts, feel what we want to buy. Once we find something we love, we'll do all the work to figure out if it's the right size, the right price. If it's a men's shirt, I made that mistake once. And on this day, we walked out of the store. We had coincidentally purchased the same exact shirt, and it got us talking. Why did we do that? And it was because this particular shirt was this amazing fabric. It felt awesome. That's what kind of helped that happen. And we thought, what if there was something to this? What if this could be our way to contribute to causes that we've followed our whole lives? The early stage research for inherited retinal eye diseases through organizations like the Foundation Fighting Blindness. What if this could be a way to make that mission more tangible, to contribute funds, and frankly, to have some fun? And that's when we came up with the idea to launch the brand, Two Blind Brothers. And it had two missions: one, to make the softest shirts in the world, and two, to help cure blindness by donating all the profits back to retinal research.
That's a pretty bold statement. Softest shirt in the world. Do you think you've actually achieved that?
I don't think it. I know it. We put our fingers to the test and put a lot of work in.
Is there a shirt Olympics for this kind of thing?
We're actually trying to get into Japan. They said we're a little past the filing date, so we're looking at 2024.
I was looking at your website earlier, and can you tell us a bit about your experience with going through the different fabrics and experimenting and finding the fabrics that you eventually settled on?
Yeah, of course. So Brad and I, it's interesting. We had no background in fashion, in fabrication, in e-commerce, and in marketing, and basically anything you'd want to have a background in to start a business. So what we did is we brute forced most things that we needed to. So when we wanted to find the softest fabric in the world, we just solicited help from a few friends that worked in the fashion industry. We said, have these mills send the softest things they can that can be made into a T-shirt. And so we ended up getting fabric books from all over the world that ended up being about probably 5 feet high if you stacked them one on top of each other. And we meet in the coffee shop once a week, and we would just go through swatches. And it was a yes-no process. Yes, I like this one. No, I don't like this one. And, once we got the yes pile, we did it again and again and again until we actually came up with one fabric that we loved. And Brad looked at me and just said, "Oh, I think this is it. Brian, do you have any idea how to sew?" And I laughed. I was like, "Yeah, no, I've been hiding this skill from you for 27 years. Don't worry. I've had this in my back pocket. I'm a seamstress." And so we ended up finding a great production facility here in New York City. And as we've grown, we've expanded to a place out in LA. And we also worked with Industries for the Blind down in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, who actually employ 70% visually impaired workers that actually finish some of our products, which is awesome. And really, just over the last year, we really spent a lot of time and energy rounding out the collection, rounding out the line. So if there's ever a moment in your life where you want to be comfortable and you want to feel amazing, we want to be there for you.
I love the fact that you're also giving back to the community through employment. That's fantastic.
Yeah, we've been really lucky with that. I mean, when we first kind of started to get a little momentum on the brand and some of the very lucky publicity, some of these organizations reached out, and we could not believe it. We had actually never heard of organizations like this, Industries for the Blind, Outside Outs of the Blind, and many, many, many others. Actually, it's a really big it's a really big industry, and relatively, but it was so perfect for us because it aligns with exactly what we stand for. One of the things that was really important to us is, even though we wanted to support the research, there's a lot of work to be done today. And, we felt like we were trying to tackle some of that with the community building and the messaging and the awareness around the causes, but to be able to actually, put people to work and incorporate it into the supply chain has been kind of a dream come true for us. And it's actually one of the things that people sort of latch onto the most in our story.
Now, you did a lot of your marketing through Facebook, right?
Correct.
How have you found that experience? Like, what was it about that platform that made you want to put your advertising budget into that?
So what we found is that one, Facebook has, I think, the most data of any of these platforms. And some of the strongest kind of programs to help you find what, for us, is sort of a unique community. People who either empathize or are close to retinal eye disease, people who are deeply into social impact causes and brands. And there's also an aspect of our customer group that are very family oriented. Having this brand, with your brother who, other than when he's insulting you, is actually a lot of fun. But we've just found that our best, we just get the best scale, the best efficiency, and the most distribution on Facebook. And then the other small point is there's a lot more engagement and sharing. With our brand, it's really not putting out some ad that says, do you need a shirt, 50% off, buy now. We're really sharing a narrative, and Facebook, more than something like a YouTube or a Google search ad, is something you can share and engage with, and that just is a nice marriage for our content.
So do you pay for advertising on Facebook, or do you just let it grow organically? No,
we pay. For sure. I mean, we do a lot organically, but we do have paid ads as well.
Interesting. We through our company did some advertising on Facebook, but we never quite seemed to crack the code there. It never seemed to result in anything. Now, mind you, we were doing it with assistive technology and not clothing, so it's a much higher price point, I guess. Do you think that platform lends itself better to lower priced items?
I'm not sure. I would say the real trick is to kind of very narrowly define your target audience, and then to make a piece of content that actually is exciting for them, that very unique audience to engage in. That's what's worked for us.
Yeah, certainly Facebook, when you go and you look at the back end and how deep you can drill down into their metrics and their all the different ways that you can customize your audience, it's frighteningly impressive.
Yeah, and we've also just had the good fortune of a very, very caring community. I mean, that's been one of the bigger secrets behind our brand, is that, it isn't about as much about the sales. Is we get a lot of people that self-select in, that share the video with their friends, and if they're sharing it to their friends, most of their friends probably are going to care about our content. And also, we see these just phenomenal messages in the comments saying, like, hey, and Cindy, have you seen this? I saw these two guys and they made me think of you. And then they have a whole conversation and dialogue, and this community of incredible people who are just as profoundly kind and amazing to Brad and I than we deserve has popped up around us. We couldn't be more grateful for it, and frankly, we can't take much credit for it, because these people were always there. We just had the good fortune of being somebody who was speaking to them.
Yeah, that very much matches up with our experience too. We all of us who are involved in the podcast, we're all part of a company that went down a few years back, and collectively, we couldn't imagine doing something outside of this community, because we love being a part of this community. And I'd echo everything that you said there about the kindness of the community as well, because I've seen just tremendous compassion that the mainstream just rarely can compare to.
Well, there's a lot of willingness as well that I see, people helping people, especially on some of the assistive technology Facebook groups. People post questions and, 15 people respond. So it's a very involved community and very helpful.
I think the visually impaired community is the greatest in the world. I'll put my stamp of approval on that.
You won't get disagreement here.
Nope.
Well, I'd like to get back to the fabric, actually. So if somebody goes on to your website and they say, "Hey, I want the softest clothing that you guys offer," what would you steer them towards?
Well, it's a phenomenal question, and it's phenomenally challenging. I would say that right now my favorite product we sell is twofold. One is the hoodie we sell. It's made from our kind of premium fabric, which is 66% bamboo, 27% cotton, and 5% lycra. And what lycra is, it's like spandex. But the whole concept behind it is this bamboo has these incredibly long cylindrical fibers that do not rub your body at all. If you take your finger and you put it on a table, you don't feel any friction until you hit that breadcrumb. It's that burr, it's that change in elevation that actually creates the friction and uncomfortableness and that itchiness of most clothing. The beautiful part about bamboo is the fibers are cylindrical and they're very long, so those tie points are further apart. So you end up not having many points of friction, but it's very drapey. So cotton is what holds that shirt together. It keeps it tight. It keeps it in form as it would be a shirt. And the spandex kind of allows it to be a second skin. For when you move, it moves with you. If you want to stretch, it stretches with you. And so that fabric combination is what we find to be the most beautiful thing. And that's on all of our crew necks, Henleys, hoodies, polos, V-necks, you name it. And then on the other side, we have a graphic tee line where we get to have a little more fun. The fabric is slightly different, but we get to put Braille-inspired messages and Braille commentary on the shirts, which is so interesting because it's a conversation point and it allows you to be a little bit of a billboard and allows you to express yourself a little bit more. My favorite there is a shirt that says perspective. It's upside down and backwards with the vowels turned into Braille letters. And on all of our garments, in the bottom right corner, we actually have the color of the shirt in embroidered Braille. And the thought there is, one, it's stylistically beautiful. But two, if you are blind or you're visually impaired and you're in your closet trying to find what to wear, you're going to know the color of the shirt. You're going to find it because it's the softest shirt in your closet. And then you're going to know what color it is because it's the embroidery.
Yeah, if people are curious, some people are curious, like, oh, how do you guys make, these ultra soft shirts? I mean, the truth is that part of it was born out of sort of how naive we were to the space. There are just so many fabrics that you can produce that actually feel quite comfortable, but they are so much less expensive to produce. And frankly, most companies want to use fabrics that they're paying $1 or $2 per yard for. And when we were coming in, we knew that this was so core to our brand that we were thinking about this as a principle before we looked at, how we think about it as a business. And in a way, we're just doing something that most brands aren't willing to do, which is to just invest heavily in their fabrics. And it's worked out. It's worked out really well for us.
How many garments are you guys selling now, like on an annual basis?
Well, it changes a lot, and we have hundreds of thousands of customers. It's been absolutely growing like crazy. It changes every 3 months, and we never know where it'll end up.
Well, you're going to get a bump. Yeah, now that you're on the podcast, you're going to get a bump of at least. Probably.
That's why we're here.
Two, maybe three, Ryan? Yeah.
Maybe three.
Maybe three?
I don't know. Rob's pretty cheap.
Two for sure. Ryan and I are all in.
That's right.
Well, one shirt at a time, as we always say.
That's right. Yeah.
Indeed.
Can people have you guys put custom messages on the shirts?
Yes. We have to do it at a little bit larger of a quantity to make it make sense. But yeah, we've done custom shirts for both big, Fortune 500 corporates as well as for somebody's vision walk. So it really just comes down to the quantity of shirts to customize.
Right. So how difficult is it to embroider Braille?
It took us a preposterously long time to figure it out. We tried with a graphic paint that was raised. We tried to layer it a bunch. It ended up fading faster than we wanted it to. We tried sticking certain things on. It wasn't reliable. We tried metal. It wasn't exactly perfect. And really what it just came down to is, like most things in life, the right answer is usually not the easiest answer. And so embroidery is the right answer. It just took us a little while to realize.
And it's kind of funny, too, because, for somebody who's never read Braille before, like, everyone in our supply, everyone except for the folks at, Dallas Lighthouse for the Blind, Industries for the Blind, and Brian and I in the office, they kind of have to learn it. When we're creating a design that has the Braille embroidery on the shirt, the graphic design person in the office has to put that together. They then have to send that to the embroiderer, and they have to orient it correctly. So I think we are slowly teaching grade 1 Braille to our entire office and supply chain.
Excellent. We're all about Braille literacy.
Now, another thing I read on your website is you guys have a connection to one of the wealthiest men in the world, Sir Richard Branson. How did that come about?
So I was so lucky. This is Brad. I was just starting the project with Brian, and through my investment career, I was lucky to be at a lunch that Richard Branson was at, and there was probably 20 people at the table. And, him obviously being such a philanthropist and such an advocate for social impact causes, and just a personal hero, somebody I admire a lot. I wanted really to share our story with him. And a friend of mine, who was at the table with me, I said, how do I bring this up to him? And he actually gave me a great piece of advice. He said, ask him for some advice. Say you want to get his advice on something, and then share the story with him. And that's exactly what I did. I said, hey, Richard, I heard you know something about branding, and I wanted to ask you about a project we're doing. And he was so kind. He basically said, look, I love what you're doing. I think that you basically need to do as much publicity and PR on this because it'll just soar. And then I said to him, well, on that note, would you mind doing a video with me? And he came up with this idea that he would tear off his shirt and throw on one of the Two Blind Brothers shirts. And, funny enough, it actually helped us a ton because it gave us a lot of credibility early in our project. A lot of news organizations that were featuring us and people who were kind of looking into the company saw that, Richard at least was familiar and supportive of what we were doing, and it really helped us a lot. And he placed a large order for a store where he gives his guests shirts on his island.
Nice.
So you're not branding Virgin merchandise yet?
Sadly, that contract has eluded us, but it's we're hoping one day.
Yeah. For Virgin airplane seat covers, maybe.
Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, yeah, if you've got a hookup over there, we'd love to follow up.
Indeed. Okay, so you've got obviously a lot of different designs in your store, and you mentioned earlier, obviously you're not seamstresses. So where do your clothing designs themselves come from?
The designs we actually do in-house. We have a great team here who works very, very diligently on coming up with new designs, new tweaks, and then we have a phenomenal partner outside of LA who does a lot of our fabrication, actually spinning the fabric and dyeing the fabric and sewing the fabric. And so we work with them a ton to just prototype a bunch of different things, and we basically won't put anything out until it's perfect. So we might have quite a few balls in the air, but and then once one is finally ready for unveiling, we love to show it off. So it's all done right here at the Brain Trust.
Nice. So are you 100% made in America now?
Almost. Some of our accessories, parts of our accessories come from overseas.
Okay.
Do you guys go to the trade shows like ATIA or CSUN?
We've heard a lot about them. We've heard that they're good. We haven't been yet. What's funny is most of the conferences we go to are actually vision-related conferences. National Federation for the Blind, Visions, and we'll be at a couple other ones this year.
Nice. Well, hopefully one of these days we'll cross paths with you at one of these conferences. We're just trying to get the company to a point where it can launch us into international spaces. Right now, we've got a travel budget that takes us on the bus down to the SkyTrain, and if we're lucky, we make it to Waterfront Station in Vancouver.
Yeah, the 275 Metro card here in New York City is a big travel budget for us.
Brian and I, when it comes to accessible technology, it's actually pretty straightforward. But one of the things that we think is amazing about this moment in time is how quickly the industry's changing, how many more tools are coming out. We primarily use a lot of our Apple products these days, the 3-finger zoom on the phone, the text-to-speech, similar functions on the MacBook. But we love seeing other tools as well. We're really impressed by companies like Ira that are forward thinking. We've seen all the we've seen a lot of the new devices, Orcam and eSight, and a lot of the ones that are coming along. And it's just been really fascinating, and it really all helps level the playing field for folks with these conditions.
So you guys are strictly using the mainstream off-the-shelf devices?
Yep. We used to use things like the Geordie glasses back in the day. We used to use CCTVs for a lot of reading. We're just lucky now that we can do it all, a lot of it digitally.
Right.
Nice. You mentioned the eSight. Does that work for you guys? Because that's a pretty narrow field of view on those things.
Yeah, it's not the perfect product for Brian and I. We try to be careful not to actually give too strong an opinion on any of these, because I'm sure there's an individual with and retinal eye disease is a spectrum, and there's tons of different permutations of it. So I'm sure for certain people it's helpful. It wasn't the right product for us.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, each condition is individual, and All right. Well, the big question then. Where can people find you guys?
Well, we're in New York, so it's like a big game of hide and seek if they're interested, or Marco Polo if they can't see well. If you're interested in finding some of the greatest shirts on the planet, just go to 2blindbrothers.com, 2blindbrothers.com.
And we'll definitely include links to your social media, your website on our show notes as well.
Amazing. Well, we can't thank you guys enough for having us, and I hope you have a absolutely spectacular rest of day, and Brad and I will do the best to do the same.
Well, I appreciate you guys taking the time again, and send our thanks to Angela for coordinating all this, and hopefully we will talk again soon.
Thanks so much. All the best.
Thanks to you as well. All right, well, that's going to about do it for us this week. Hope everyone has an excellent week or weekend whenever you're listening to this. Got any last words, Steve?
McGillicuddy.
McGillicuddy. All right. If you know what he's referencing, send an email to cowbell@atbanter.com.
That's right. You can also interface with us through the social medias. We are findable on Twitter. We are findable on Facebook. We are findable on Instagram, although there's not a heck of a lot of stuff on Instagram because, pictures and stuff. So I'd probably stick to the Twitter and Facebook.
Hopefully Rob's alt-tagging the Instagram pics.
And LinkedIn.
Yes.
LinkedIn. We are also on LinkedIn.
Yes. We haven't been... Well, no, I think Rob posts stuff there too. So.
Yeah. We do echo everything that we do through the other ones on LinkedIn as well.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And also, if you are in Canada, well, I don't know, Steve, you specify the details because I'm not actually sure on this myself. But Canadian Assistive Technology is actually on a sale right now.
Yeah, we are. We've just started the great year of 2020, the year of perfect vision, and we are going to be selling off a crap ton of demo equipment and stuff that we're overstocked on. I want to refresh our demo equipment, get some new stuff in, and start showing some newer gear. So there are some pretty substantial savings on stuff that we've got in stock right now. So visit our website at www.canasstech.com. Yes, CANASSTECH.com. And yeah.
And is that open to anybody or just Canadian residents?
It is, I hadn't really thought too much about that.
I know.
I mean, typically we only sell in Canada, but if somebody came up and said, hey, I would like a great bargain on one of those, and they were in, say, the U.S., I'd probably go for it.
All right, you heard it here first.
This podcast has been brought to you by Canadian Assistive Technology, providing low vision and blindness solutions across Canada. Find us online at www.canasstech.com. That's CANASSTECH.com. Or call us toll free at 1-844-795-8324. For all your assistive technology servicing needs, call Chaos Technical Services at 778-847-6840 or find them online at chaostechnicalservices.com.
Whoa, look at that. Master of the one take.